Hi, and welcome to episode 6 in the series of Objective Truth. Last episode, I talked a little about encounter versus experience, just to kind of talk a little bit around the fact that there are things that happen in our translation from what we encounter to what we experience. And today, I want to take a little another path, and I want to talk about history and talk about. I decided to call this episode "Imprint" because we all make an effect or imprint on the world's history, and the thing I want to talk about is the default position of every generation that comes or that has ever come. And when I heard a little bit about history and how to view history, there's always this theme that is it a development or evolving, so to say, view on history that you should have? Or is it a circular view that are we constantly evolving, or is there a circular fact that things happen again, movements happen, change happen, and things reoccur? And the point I want to draw out here today is the circularity of humanity when we look back at each generation that has gone on before us and where we find ourselves. Because each generation has had its own default position, meaning that we are new to what we experience. And you got to say, every season in history has had its own pressure on it as well, like challenges that have come, and they've had to face it and try to do the best with what they've had and the knowledge they've had. And as time changes, it also creates change and imprints on humanity because of the movement that happened. Because we are new, and we act, and we do, and that creates movement and change. Hopefully you live a life that creates change around you, that the world isn't the same. So these changes, they are the imprints that I kind of want to talk about today. And we are like the new generation that comes up. We have the past experience of generations before us, and many has been written down, and we've been taught it, and the ones before us, they've tried to teach us history so we don't do the same mistakes as they did. But in our own space, we become blinded by the forces we can't see because they're new to us, and they seem shifting to us. And the truth is, we have never been here as a humanity or as people, as individuals that we are. And we don't know how to handle exactly all the time what we meet. So we've never been here. So how do we cope? How do we handle these things? How do we process what we are experiencing, what we are encountering? And hopefully, we will be able to grasp some elements of the truth that we know and what we've heard, and kind of find some reconciliation in our own time, to reconciliate what we know and with our actions. And hopefully it ends up good. And we know the future that we meet, it comes with scars from our past. We have wounds and memories that we try to handle and to cope with. And often we strive with unsolved episodes and situations that have occurred in our life, coping with experiences probably that need solutions. In the new that we experience, we might have open wounds that reduce us and make us weak. And I think every generation should strive and hopefully be able to to heal and find closure in their own time, or else the generation that comes behind becomes weak and vulnerable and perhaps even frail when new challenges come. And the challenges, they come in winds like new waves that we've never seen. And if we are not positioned and healed, perhaps we can even find ourselves acting in not the best way. So to continue on, we come in a default position, and we gotta allow ourselves to understand that there is an element of ignorance as we grow up in life. There's an ignorance, right, until reality becomes something that we're able to understand. And each generation has that ignorance. Nobody has the, how do you say, the back of the book where you know where the answers is given. We just don't sit with the answers when challenges come. And this has been something that has been all the time. Like the ones that lived before us, they lived in their ignorance. So everybody has tried to cope probably the best way we've all known with the cards we've been dealt, with what we've learned. And I would say some wounds, even in our time, some wounds are still open. And I think as a society, nations should be aware of the hurts that have been caused before, for example, from their own countries. I know how society has hurt people groups, and how to be able to find healing, there has to be some reconciliation, and to be aware, and how to be honest and acknowledge, and perhaps even repent and kind of be humble of things that was wrong or what was done wrong in the past. There was a time when cultures and people groups imposed and were imposed by powers of others. And I mean, we all have lived in ignorance, where we lived in simple forms and kind of peace of mind, until change and movement happened. The world changes, and we meet realities that we never knew. And the interconnectedness has woven us together. How all cultures and people groups have melted together even more today than ever. And it seems like there's these million pieces of a puzzle that needs to be put together. And this interconnectedness is changing the world as it is today. So the world is continuously changing, evolving, or showing itself new to us. And humanity reacts on what it meets. And some react with fear, anxiety, but some also meet it with curiosity. But as humans, we do react. And not many people have this calmness and safety when challenges and change happen. We just got to admit that. And we could say, does the world change? But in the circularity of it all, it reshapes. It becomes born again. The world changed. And I don't know, does the world change? Or is it our perspectives that change? Is it our eyes that are made aware of something new? Or is it our understanding that opens up? Is it reality that hits us in the face? So is it just the world is going in orbit and recreating, but it is the environment that reacts differently? And you know, things that were will come again, but they have a surprising element about them. It's not that we have all the answers beforehand. So I'm thinking, I hope you bear with me this episode, because I really just want to talk about acknowledging that we have our past mistakes or our present mistakes, but we have to have grace concerning the world that we've entered into. For example, with the ones that went before us, the ones that led the way before us and tried their best. And of course, not everybody is likes to do the right thing, but most of us people do. And we just have to have grace concerning the ones that went before us. And I believe we have to have grace with the ones that we're living with in present time. We have to acknowledge that we are different and we're in this together. And we have to be aware that we don't know everything. We don't have the answers for everything. Of course, we can surely try, but and I believe it'd be nice to be one of the ones that meet change with beauty, that meets change with curiosity and openness. Meet new things that happen with opportunity to learn something new and to be positively surprised. So this is kind of what I wanted to talk about in this episode. And I had a societal perspective, talking a little bit about history, but you can just as easily draw it to a personal perspective where the individual experienced something, and you have the ones, the family he grew up in, the society he grew up in, the family he grew up in. in how you were taught, how you experienced life, where you need grace for the ones that were before you, and you need grace with yourself when reality kicked in and you understood that, wow, I just didn't know this, I was wrong. That we need to have grace with ourselves, and we have to have this grace for the future as well, for the ones that's going to do mistakes after us, and the ones that we're living with. So this was kind of where we draw the conclusion of this episode of Imprints, where each generation has made an imprint in history and in the world society. And some have been negative, some have been positive, some have been selfish, some have been with the best intentions. But these imprints have made change. And in the circular view of history, we see how it has affected the world until we come to the time today where we have to understand that we are making our imprints in the time we live in, and how we affect the world and how we affect the future. So that's kind of the idea behind this episode, and I hope it was something that could be inspiring for you to think on, and something that was worth your time. So I hope you have a great day, and thank you for listening.